Hello viewers, welcome to the Ink Warfare channel. In this video I will be inking over the pencils of the demon portion in this illustration. I'll fill you in more as we get going, so let's get started. So to start off, I'm using a Tombow pen here, the blue Fudeno Senkei. That's how you pronounce it. I really like this pen. And I'm drawing on 200 series Strathmore Bristol. It's a comic book paper tablet, which is acceptable paper. And my pencils I drew, and I used a 2H, I believe, 2H on a Rotring, 2H 2mm lead. With a Rotring pencil lead holder wrapped in like athletic wrap foam, athletic tape wrap. And so I'm just I'm working on I'm going to start out here. I'm just trying to fill in my lines on the face. Because these are my own pencils, if I see something I don't like, I may change it with my inks. Your pencils can be kind of light in color. Not everything shows up the same when you start darkening it with inks. Now, if it was somebody else's drawing, I'd probably have to try to keep pretty committed to the inks. But on this illustration, and most of the illustrations, or all the illustrations in my videos, they're my own. It's my own artwork so far. The thing I like about the Tombow pen is the tip is flexible, but not too flexible. The black Tombow pen is too flexible for me. It's a little tougher to control because it flattens out too easy. So you can get line thickness, a little too much line thickness when you don't want it. For me. I probably have about a medium touch. I don't have like a heavy touch on the pen. It's fairly light, but I like the stiffer blue Tombow pen. I did just pick up a Faber-Castell Pitt pen. It's an FM, and I'll be using that at some point here. It's the Pitt Artist Pen Feud Nib Medium. I hadn't seen these at, I bought these at a local store, and I hadn't seen them before, so they had two versions. I can't remember what the other one was, but I only bought the one, the FM. Maybe if I go back down there, I'll pick up the other one, and we'll try it out. Now, just a little background on this illustration. I have a small growing series of trading cards that I sell on my website, and this is going to be one of the next ones. The subject matter is this psychic supposedly thinks that she's contacting the dead, but who's really filling her in with information is this demon. So maybe a love, there's different reasons why people go to psychics to find out, guidance, speak to a loved one. I personally have never been to a psychic, so it's my understanding that most of the time people do want to just like to contact loved ones and like to have their fortunes read and things like that. And but I'm in this trading card, I'm kind of posing the question, do you really know who the psychic is talking to? If anything, if they're not a total fraud and just taking your money, could their messages possibly be from some other entity, like those from the demonic realm? Now, any psychic that truly believes they're receiving some kind of message could be duped as well. That I'm sure most of them, their intentions would not be to communicate with demons, but it's my belief that that's what's going on, if anything. Now here I'm just kind of framing in, like outlining this big shadow under his chin. And then I'm going to come back and fill that in later. I don't want to use up all my ink in the Tombow pen, and I don't really want to wear out the tip. So you can, I've got a couple, I don't know what I'm going to use to fill in the darks. I have a couple like bigger brush tip pens that I'll use to do that. Some of them that I'm really trying to use up because I probably would never buy them again. So this, my version of the demon here, he's got like double little horns on his chin here. And a little bit of a goatee or beard there, like a little tiny beard. He also has some grosser attributes, like these lumps on his neck that are kind of like growths. Shoulder is burnt, his wings are burnt. As far as the biblical description of demons, there's not a whole lot to go by in the Bible. There's the book of Revelations where there's a plague with locusts that some believe kind of just the locusts are actually demons. And then there is descriptions of the devil and stuff, which he's probably going to look, his demons are probably going to look similar to him, if I had to guess. In the book of Ezekiel, there's a passage that many believe is descriptive of the devil, like Satan. In Ezekiel 28, it says, "You were a signet of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was your covering. Sardis, topaz, and diamond, beryl, onyx, and jasper, sapphire, emerald, and carbuncle, and crafted in gold were your settings and your engravings. On the day that you were created, they were prepared. You were an anointed guardian cherub. I placed you. You were on the holy mountain of God. In the midst of the stones of fire you walked. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created till unrighteousness was found in you. In the abundance of your trade you were filled with violence in your midst, and you sinned. So I cast you as a profane thing from the mountain of God, and I destroyed you, O guardian cherub. From the midst of the stones of fire your heart was proud because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. I cast you to the ground. I exposed you before kings." So, this passage describes Satan as having been a beautiful creature, decorated in all these precious stones and gold. And something that's particularly interesting is, he was in the midst of the stones of fire. There's also elsewhere in the Bible it talks about Satan being able to parade himself as an angel of light. But for this illustration, I was going for something a little bit more, I guess, stereotypical as far as demons are always thought about or illustrated or described as these horned, beastly creatures with, more like bat wings, if they have wings at all. Not so much, angels are portrayed as usually having like these really beautiful, wonderful, sprawling wings. And demons are fallen angels, so they'd be a darker version of that. That may be correct, that may not be. There's also passage in the book of Genesis that talks about how that many believe that the demons had come down from heaven and mated with human women and had children. That would be what many are familiar with as the story of the Nephilim. So anyhow, I think a lot of liberty can be taken in how you, if you're going to design a character or portray a demon in your some illustration that you're working on. There's a lot of liberty that can be taken, and so that's what I did here. This is going to be showing up eventually. This artwork's going to be printed in a very small scale. It's going to be 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. That's the size of a trading card. So I might be going over the top and all the detail I'm adding to this illustration, but we'll see once I shrink it down. Another thing that I'm keeping in mind too is that this is going to be colored, like full color. It's not going to be a standalone black and white pen and ink illustration in the end. So I could, with that in mind, I could slack off a little bit on the detail, knowing that I'll be able to add some element of details when I go in to color it. But I like doing pen and ink, and I'm just going to go for it on this. So right now I'm using a I think that's an extra small, maybe 0.1 pen. Yeah, 0.1. I like these. They don't have a lot of excess bleed. I like microns, but sometimes they do have a lot of excess bleed in them when you're inking. That can sometimes be due to the paper as well. But I just find these pet markers. I just like the darkness of the ink, and like I said, this I really, if I had 2 pens to work with, I'd probably pick this 0.1 Faber-Castell and the Tombow blue pen. Could probably do this whole illustration with those 2 pens, because the Tombow has a lot of variety. I can go thick, thin. I can several different line weights if I have to. I can use that pen to create. And then this 0.1, I just like to go in and do some small cross hatching and shading and adding values. In my other videos, I kind of hop all over the place on the illustration, so on this one I'm trying to stay focused on one area at a time, particularly because I'm zoomed in. So if I decide, if I get bored with the face and I start drawing his abdomen, you're not going to see it. So I'm trying to stay focused on one area. Hopefully that's helpful to you if you're watching. Now this guy is a gnarly, wicked-looking guy. He's kind of got horns that trail back. I kind of like that look a little better than, one of the best like demonic type being designs that I can recall is if you're old enough and you remember the movie Legend. I can't remember if Tim Curry had played that guy, but that design, this guy, the villain in that movie had these gigantic horns, and like just the makeup was incredible. So I think that's one of the best, like, quintessential designs of your typical demonic type character. And I don't know, I can't remember. It's been a long time since I saw that, since I've seen that movie. I can't remember if he was supposed to be a demon or not, or just some kind of wicked character. But I thought that design was really well done. Mine, it's all right. I started sketching a bunch of just head sketches of demon designs, and I liked this mouth design with the slits instead of teeth. I don't know why, but I just kept using it. Especially I liked it. I have some designs with that I did with these demonic guys with beards and stuff like that. I don't think there's any rules, as far as this goes. Like I said, there's very little biblical literature that describes the physical attributes of just your lower denomination demons, other than the devil. There's several different descriptions of angels in the scriptures, all over the board, with wings, without wings, dressed in white. Some of the descriptions are just beyond imagination. When you get into the book of Revelation, or some of the major prophets, and they're talking about the cherubs and the angels around the throne room in heaven, and they have just some crazy imagery. They have heads of there's the four angels that are cry holy and holy around the throne, and one has the face of an eagle, the other one like a human face. I think the other one has a face of a cow or something like that, or a bull. Now I should have looked this up for the. I'm just working off memory here. Maybe I should look it up and just to get it right. And then they have 6 wings apiece, and the wings are full of eyes and stuff. What does all that mean? That is some crazy imagery that. Like the book of Revelation, John had a vision when he was captive on the island of Patmos, and you can imagine someone living 2,000 plus years ago, trying to describe on paper, on scroll or whatever, what they saw in their vision of heaven. And it'll be very interesting to find out just how accurate that description is. But like I said, when you try to visualize it, there's a lot of crazy imagery in the book of Revelations. Revelation, not Revelations. Also, there's very similar creatures, and I think Ezekiel, and maybe Isaiah, but I know in Ezekiel. Just looking it up here. Yeah, Ezekiel number 1, chapter 1. As I looked, behold, a stormy wind came out of the north, and a great cloud with brightness around it, and fire flashing forth continually. And in the midst of the fire, as it were gleaming metal, and from the midst of it came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had a human likeness, but each had 4 faces, and each of them had 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and the soles of their feet were like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like burnished bronze. Under their wings, on their 4 sides, they had human hands, and the 4 had their faces and their wings thus. Their wings touched one another. Each one of them went straight forward without turning as they went. As for the likeness of their faces, each had a human face. The 4 had the face of a lion on the right side, the 4 had the face of an ox on the left side, and the 4 had the face of an eagle Such were their faces, and their wings were spread out above. Each creature had 2 wings, each of which touched the wing of another, while 2 covered their bodies, and each went straight forward. Wherever the Spirit would go, they went, without turning as they went. As for the likeness of the living creature, their appearance was like the burning coals of fire, like the appearance of torches moving to and fro among the living creatures. And the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures darted to and fro like the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now as I looked at the living creatures, I saw a wheel on the earth beside the living creatures, one for each of the 4 of them. As for the appearance of the wheels, their construction, their appearance was like the gleaming of beryl. The 4 had the same likeness, their appearance and construction being as it were a wheel within a wheel. When they went in any of their 4 directions, without turning as they went. And their rims were tall and awesome, and the rims of all 4 were full of eyes all around. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went beside them. And when the living creatures rose from the earth, the wheels rose. Wherever the Spirit wanted to go, they went. The wheels rose along with them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. When those went, these went, and when those stood, these stood. And when those rose from the earth, the wheels rose along with them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. Over the heads of the living creatures there was the likeness of an expanse, shining like awe-inspiring crystal spread out above their heads. The expanse, and under the expanse their wings were stretched out straight, one toward another, and each creature had 2 wings covering its body. And when they went, I heard the sound of their wings like the sound of many waters, like the sound of the Almighty, a sound of tumult, like the sound of an army. When they stood still, they let down their wings, and there came a voice from above the expanse over their heads. When they stood still, they let down their wings. Just, incredible, like mind-blowing imagery, just trying out, just search that, look for some artist interpretations of these 4 living creatures, these 4 living angels. Incredible beings. Now this is from the Apostle John in the book of Revelation, chapter 4. Very similar description. And around the throne, on each side of the throne, are 4 living creatures, full of eyes in front and behind. The first living creature like a lion, the second living creature like an ox, the third living creature with the face of a man, the 4th living creature like an angel in flight. And the 4 living creatures, each of them with 6 wings, are full of eyes all around and within, and day and night they never cease to say, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. And whenever the living creatures give glory and honor and thanks to him who is seated on the throne, who lives forever and ever, the 24 elders fall down before him who is seated on the throne and worship him, who lives forever and ever. And they cast their crowns before the throne, saying, Worthy are you, O Lord and God, to receive glory and honor and power, for you created all things, and by your will they existed and were created. So, you could go many different ways. So you were trying to, a demon is pretty much a demon is a fallen angel. It probably doesn't look exactly the same, but maybe they are very similar in appearance in that fall. Maybe nothing really happened to their appearance, but you can take some artistic license if you like, and just if you're trying to design some kind of demonic character, who's to tell you that it's incorrect as far as how they look? The one thing we know about demons, how they operate, what their MO is. They are in no way ambitious toward your goodwill. quite the opposite. They, like the devil, would come to kill and destroy, and lie and deceive, and that's what's happening in this illustration. So this demon is using his whatever power he might have to deceive this woman into thinking that she's communicating with the dead, or maybe some kind of quote-unquote good spirit. But in actuality, she's being deceived. The person that she's seeing for is being deceived, and this demon is doing the work. And so that's another thing, like that's demons are portrayed in Scripture too as being able to like spiritually possess people to the point where they can control them physically. There are many stories of how Jesus had cast out demons from people, sometimes multiple demons from the same person. And one person in particular, he's described as having almost superhuman strength, like no chains could hold him. So demons do possess some kind of a physical ability to control the physical world, and they are somewhat ethereal, and but it seems to be able to manifest physically as well, and they can travel in I would say be able to travel in different realms, different dimensions. So pretty scary stuff, nothing to really dabble with. That's one thing you want to think about next time you go to some psychic fair or to see a psychic. Who's that psychic actually talking to? If they're talking to anybody, like I said, if they're not just a complete phony, which probably many of them are, but it's quite possible that they could be talking to some kind of demonic being. Demons can't be everywhere at all times, but if you think about it logically, they can share information. So they can be in the same room with you, but be invisible. They can be in the same room with you in the possession of somebody else. And then all the while, it's like being a fly on the wall. So they can know things about people that they don't think that other people know. So like through some kind of medium like this like a psychic, they can share that information. They can share it with each other. Often you hear people that have been to psychics claim that, that psychic knew things that I don't know how they knew these things about me, but they did. Well, could they know because some demon knew you were going to the psychic fair and talked to his buddy demon, and that buddy demon had been watching you and studying you, and ultimately a demon's desire is to see your death and destruction, and that you spend eternity separated from God. And he doesn't have to do that by turning you into like a Satan worshiper or anything like that. All he has to do is distract you from, or keep you from, any kind of pursuit in finding the one truth and the one true God, which really isn't that difficult for a lot of people. That can be really anything in your life that you make an idol that's more important than your relationship with your Creator. That could be a hobby. It could be a relationship. It could be an emotional state that you just can't get out of. It could be work. Anything they can do to distract you from a relationship with Jesus will give them success in their schemes. So beware. Don't let them play you so easily if they are. Now this guy, he's pretty gnarly. I wanted his wings to be kind of veiny, kind of distorted. Definitely not the beautiful angelic wings that you picture that most angels have and that I think are described in Scripture. So, you know, the thought process is that in the fall of the angels, when they, or these demons, when they left heaven for whatever reason, you know, it's predominantly thought that they you know, something happened to them in that transition, and that's how they ended up being these really wicked looking, gross beings that are often portrayed in illustrations, artwork, movies, what have you. And maybe that's true. I guess it would be interesting to find out. So I'm sorry I'm covering up the page here. So when I was kind of thinking about the design for this character, I was thinking about, you know, that passage I read in Ezekiel, and how like this description of Satan was that he was covered with you know, stones and these precious stones and stuff like that, and how, you know, his covering is kind of, you know, by natural, you know, natural elements, things like that. And so I kind of wanted to keep this demon, you know, I could, you know, you can do whatever you want. You could have him wearing a leather biker jacket or something like that, or, you know, a dark suit, or, you know, it's up to you if you were designing your own, you know, demon. But I kind of wanted to keep him a little bit more natural looking. So he kind of has this scaly chest, kind of like a scaly shelly chest. And, you know, there's nothing really recognizable that he's wearing that's too recognizable that would be similar to, like, you know, human clothing. Does have some kind of like fur and cloth around his waist when we get to that point. But he does have humanoid features. You know, his eyes are in a similar place to ours. His mouth, even though his mouth is, you know, his mouth just has the slits and not like the, you know, the parallel opening that we have, parallel to the ground or whatever. So that's a little different. His ears are in pretty much the same place as us. So I kind of kept him fairly humanoid looking. Well, and then, I mean, there's other ways to think about it. You know, in the story of the Nephilim, it's kind of hard to find any other way around than that. The beings in that small, short little story in the book of Genesis, it does seem to be that they were some kind of fallen angels. But they were able also, like we're talking about, you know, physical attributes. Somehow they were able to mate with human women. So they were able to realize some kind of some physical form, and somewhat has to be like compatible, you know, with humans in some way, if you know what I mean. So anyhow, so I kept this character fairly human. I could have made as, you know, I mean, there's different description of angels in scripture. You know, there's angels with wings. There's angels that just, you know, like are wearing white. It doesn't say anything about wings. Angels that are giants. So like there seem to be several different types and descriptions, and I guess if you have fallen angels, you're going to have several different types. You know, if you're listening to this, you know, this is kind of a longer video. I'm not much of a talker, so there are times in this video I might just be silent and you can watch me draw. If I have something to say, I'll pipe in. There's still plenty of time left on this video. I might not speak the most of the time going forward here. In this video, once again, I did do hopefully the background music doesn't drive you nuts. It's just a looped like 8-bar, I think 8-bar progression that I put together with my guitar and in GarageBand. So hopefully it doesn't drive you nuts. You can always turn the volume down if you want. But I do write all the music for my put together all the music for my videos, because I am a musician, well, I dabble in it. Not a professional musician, but so I'd like to. It's just one more aspect of creating, so I figured I might as well write my own scores for my YouTube videos. That way I don't have to get on iTunes and buy some non-licensed or get in trouble for playing on YouTube for playing licensed music. So the music's usually going to be my creation. Well, I'm working on this wing, and you can see a good picture, visual of it. That dark shadow under his chin, I think it really works in this illustration to help bring out his face, and I'm going to end up darkening up the area to the right of his cheek there too, to kind of bring the face out. But don't ever dismiss the value of just a big dark shadow in your illustration. You can be in love with adding all this detail and stuff like that, and afraid to black stuff out because maybe you've already spent time on an area, bringing that out, adding all this detail, but in the end, a nice heavy shadow really serves the image well. So don't be afraid to go there. I often can be that way because I start to add all this detail, and then I'm apprehensive about covering it up, and you start to be too in love with it when it doesn't serve the whole picture. So just consider that in your own illustrations. If I blacked this area out or added more contrast, and less busyness, would it serve the illustration better? Many times, probably. And often, an area I've spoken about this in other videos, like an area you black out, the human mind will fill in some details there, even though there's no details. It's really interesting how that happens. I think I mentioned in my last video, and I was gonna go look, but I can't remember what book it was in, but I think it was either in Thinking Fast or Slow or Drawing on the left side or right side of the brain. I can't remember now. There's this concept about how your eye, when you look at something, like say a landscape, or you're just looking through your, say you're wake up in the morning, you go in your kitchen, the things in your peripheral vision, there's an idea or concept that your mind fills in those gaps, and that you're not processing the visuals that fast, so your mind fills in the gaps, and based on your memory and what you know to be true about how things look in your environment. I thought that was kind of interesting. So like when you add some big black shadow, often that's how that works. When you're a lot of times your mind can fill in the details, or the viewer's mind will fill in details that aren't really there, but are insinuated. That's something that you can play with in your illustration. Like an artist that like I said, particularly later on in his, as he's getting later on in his career, that I've mentioned before, is Lee Weeks is just really good at that. Check out Lee Weeks and his most recent stuff. You know, pick up. He did an Elmer Fudd and Batman comic in the last few years. That thing is fantastic. You know, it's pretty interesting. He took like the characters from Bugs Bunny, and he took pretty much humans, illustrated humans in the comic book that kind of have the similar features. Like there's one guy that looks like kind of could pass for Bugs Bunny. He's got the buck teeth, and I mean, Elmer Fudd looks pretty much like Elmer Fudd, but there's other characters in Looney Tunes that he has portrayed in this comic as people, but it's all really noir-esque, you know, like darks and lights, high contrast, a lot of shadows. You can get that. You can. I know you can still get copies of that, and I think they just recently reprinted it. I would definitely recommend picking that up. It's pretty good. Like really well done. That was the Batman, Elmer Fudd and Batman comic that Lee Weeks did, illustrated. You know, and what a combination. You know, most people love Batman. He's probably, I don't know, he's probably, you know, I think he's probably more popular than Superman. It's got to be close. And then Looney Tunes, you know, who doesn't love Looney Tunes? Some other books that are really fantastic at just showing you how to lay out darks and lights and shadows, and how effective you can and environments you can create, you know, playing off these shadows and things like that, are the Framed Ink books. Framed Ink by Mateos. Look here. Marcos. I'm probably going to butcher his name here. It's Marcos Mateu Mestre. Mateu-Mestre. The Framed Ink books. I have the Framed Perspective, Framed Ink, and I think I have the first of each of those. And then I also have this comic book that he did. I can't remember the name of it. I have it here somewhere. here it is. Here it is. It is Trail of Steel. It's a trade that he did. And it kind of looks to me like he mainly works digitally. He is fantastic with his contrast. Like this Trail of Steel book, it's pretty much all black and white with some grays, some grayscale. But the way he lays out his panels, and it's all really dramatic. He uses a lot of shadow and, you know, just enough detail that things can look very realistic. You know, he's using pretty much, a lot of the time he uses like a flat bladed pen, and it's not tight drawing. It's very loose. There's a lot of energy to his drawings. Really good. I mean, kind of drool over those books every now and then. And he's really cinematic in the way he lays things out. So with the wings here, I'm trying to give the appearance of, you know, they're not like flat. They have some curvature to them. So the upper corners here are kind of a little bit in darkness because they curve around and kind of curve at the tips. The veins I'm kind of not going to go into, other than I'm pretty much going to leave the veins pronounced and then shade around them. Okay, so here I'm using that Faber-Castell pen. It just has a weird name. Like I said earlier, it's a Pitt Artist Pen Feud Nib Medium, and this is very similar to the Tombow pen, but it has a little bit bigger tip. But you can still get fine lines, like I'm doing it here. I'm laying down some fairly fine lines. But it's probably, as far as the softness, it's in between the blue Tombow and the black one. So it kind of falls in, you know, you can lay a little, you've got to be a little bit more careful with your pressure than with the black Tombow, but not terribly so. And you definitely don't have to be as careful as you would with the black Tombow pen, Fudeno Senki pen. So I think I'd recommend this pen to try it out if you're looking for like a fine tipped pen that's similar to the, or maybe where you're at you can't get a hold of a Tombow pen, but they have this one. It's a pretty good alternative, and I'll continue to use it. I'll keep trying it out. I'll use it up. Here's a little bit more imagery from the book of Revelation, chapter 9. There's some crazy demon-like creatures that are unleashed. And the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star fall from heaven to earth. And he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. He opened the shaft
of the bottomless pit, and from the shaft rose smoke like the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and air were darkened with the smoke from the shaft. Then from the smoke came locusts on the earth, and they were given power like the power of scorpions of the earth. They were told not to harm the grass of the earth or any green plant or any tree, but only those people who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. They were allowed to torment them for 5 months, but not to kill them, and their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it stings someone. In those days people will seek death and will not find it. They will long to die, but death will flee from them. In appearance, the locusts were like horses prepared for battle. On their heads were what looked like crowns of gold. Their faces were like human faces, their hair like women's hair, their teeth like lions' teeth. They had breastplates like the breastplate of iron, and the noise of their wings was like the noise of many chariots with horses rushing into battle. They have tails and stings like scorpions, and their power to hurt people for 5 months is in their tails. They have as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek it's called Apollyon. The first woe has passed. Behold, 2 woes are still to come. So here you have these creatures who are, for lack of a better description, the Apostle John describes them as locust-like, but they have these features like their heads were crowned with gold, their faces were like human faces, they had hair like women's hair. I guess I would assume that would be like long hair, and they had teeth like lions. So kind of it makes sense what some of the descriptions you've seen through history that the way demons have been illustrated. Here you have a creature with a human face but lion-like teeth. A lot of demons are portrayed with sharp, pointy teeth. And they have wings. They're wearing armor, breastplate like a breastplate of iron. And let's see, they have these scorpion tails, these tails like scorpions that must have some kind of stinger on them. Now there's another description of, in the book of Revelation, you have, Satan's described a few times as the serpent of old or the dragon. Further along in that chapter, there's another event where the sixth angel blew his trumpet, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar before God, saying to the 6th angel who had the trumpet, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." So the 4 angels who had been prepared for the hour, the day, the month, and the year were released to kill 1/3 of mankind. The number of mounted troops was twice 10,000 times 10,000. I heard their number, and this is how I saw the horses in my vision and those who rode them. They wore breastplates, the color of fire and sapphire and of sulfur, and the heads of the horses were like lions' heads, and the fire and smoke and sulfur came out of their mouths. By these 3 plagues 1/3 of mankind was killed by the fire and smoke sulfur coming out of their mouths, for the power of the horses is in their mouths and in their tails, for their tails are like serpents with heads, and by means of them they wound. The rest of the mankind were not killed by these plagues. The rest of the mankind who were not killed by these plagues did not repent of the works of their hands, nor give up worshiping demons and idols of gold and silver and bronze and stone and wood, which cannot see or hear or walk. Nor did they repent of their murders or their sorceries or their sexual immorality or their thefts. So these angels here, it appear to be some kind of a demonic angels that are released
for that hour, the day, the month, and the year. And it's kind of curious. So like there's a description of the horses having heads like lions. I wonder why he didn't just describe them as lions. I mean, lions have 4 legs. They're shorter legs than horses. So must be something was definitely, this creature had the characteristics of both, a horse and a lion, like the body of a horse with the longer legs that you could not mistake. But it's just, like I said, you have to wonder what John saw. Could he have been seeing something that's from the future? I mean, we're in the future. Technology has come a long way. Who knows what he was actually seeing and trying to describe in a time period when things like helicopters and tanks and stuff like that, they were unknown. So like the imagery he described could literally have looked the way that he had written it, or else he did the best he could to describe things that he wasn't familiar with, because he lived in a time when men still traveled by horse, and none of the technologies and tech and vehicles and stuff that exists today, electronics, even existed. In the same way that if we were transported 2,000 years in the future, we might be just totally blown away and unable to describe what we saw, should there be another 2,000 years in the future of mankind. So I want to say something about this hand that I just drew. So it didn't so much bother me when I drew it in the pencils and kind of finished my pencils, but that first finger on that hand really is, I'm not happy with it. That's why I didn't go very far. The second finger I have to address too, but that first finger I really was unhappy with, so I didn't do much rendering on that, didn't do much feathering or shading, because I'm going to come back to that and address it. I just want to do a little bit more inking on the illustration here and get his lower half pretty close to done. Now here are this I don't even know how to describe that. His chest there has like this hard covering on it, like clamshell type covering. I drew those parallel lines there to shade more as to bring out the overall shape and not the individual little textures within that piece of organic armor that's on his chest there. And that's one thing that you have to keep in mind when you're illustrating, that you are your main forms, like your tubular forms on a human figure, or in this case a humanoid type figure. You have to think of the overall shape and how unless you're going for a very basic line structure, how you're going to bring that overall shape out and bring out the smaller details within those. So the overall shape, you can use bigger lines, bigger line weights like that to bring out the dimension, and like that's more of a rounded piece, like conforming to his chest. Here I kind of imagined like almost similar to a Roman's soldier's armor. There's like a furry, not that they had a furry belt, but I wanted to keep the things more of the natural world, like his clothing more of the natural world, and not something that was so much fabricated or was used, or I guess it would have to have been fabricated, but that just consisted of more natural materials like furs, leathers. So like his girdle here, if you want to call it, is more of a leather girdle. and then the belt's more furry, and then he has the skirt there that's made out of the leather straps, kind of like what a Roman soldier would have worn. I don't know if theirs was made out of leather or not, but I know some of their outfits were made out of leather. Same thing here, is his torso is cylindrical. So I'm trying to bring that out in my illustration. Here I'm using a Pentel brush pen, which works for, like, the Pentel brush pen does work for, like, I mean, you can pretty much do anything with it if you're careful. Here actually I switched pens, so you can use it for fine lines if you're careful. The one thing that it doesn't do well is starting out with just a dull tipped line. That's something where an actual brush would come in handy. Otherwise, you just have to fake it by coloring in, creating the shape and coloring it in. But if you wanted to do some kind of dull feathering, kind of like, old comic book style dull feathering, like I think of Spider-Man, when John Romita Sr. illustrated Spider-Man, he used some really great heavy feather lines, not real fine lines. They were heavy and the tips were more dull, not pointed. In the final piece here, I don't intend to have a lot of color in his lower region. It's probably going to be fairly dark, so I kind of blacked it out more than anything with all the little shapes in the leather and patterns. And when I go into color it, it's probably going to be even darker. I might throw a little light, like from that candle, but it's not going to be the highlight of the illustration. But sometimes when you are illustrating something, you kind of can pick and choose how far you go into detail. Like this area is going to be more inconsequential. It's probably not going to be very noticeable to the viewer, eventually when this is colored. I doubt most people are going to spend much time looking at this area in the illustration. Does that mean that I check out on it? I mean, that's up to you. I did spend some time on it, and maybe I brought it forth more than was necessary. Think about, if you think about how much time you spend, say you're into comic books, and you get a new issue, and you're excited to flip through that issue, and I did just get the new David Finch. I haven't read it yet, Stonebreaker. And I did flip through it. He spent some crazy time on all the backgrounds and stuff. How much time, not to diminish the time and effort put in, and but how much time is the average viewer going to spend with their eye on the backgrounds and stuff, like, and things that are more minor in the imagery? Probably not a lot of time. I mean, if I had to guess. Now, a lot of time, people will be buying his work because they're fans of his artwork. They're buying his work because of that. So they might spend more time, but on the average, I have to kind of sometimes force my eye to look at the minor things in the illustration, and I try to remind myself, well, that look at the time the artist spent on this. It's it was important to them. It was important enough that they spent time illustrating it. I should probably maybe pay attention to it. you don't have to, but and maybe for each artist you have to decide how much time you're going to spend on the minor things in an illustration, the things that, I think of so many even impressionist paintings and things like that where the focal point was more clear, or portraits, like John Singer Sargent. He's probably my favorite portrait painter, and a lot of his the minor things in his illustration, like backgrounds, they're subtle. There's just an impression of them. Now, he was a master of color and form. Like he could use the most abbreviated strokes to convincingly, you look at something in his illustration that was more minor, like a portrait, you look at the background or some of the clothing, like he was real loose with like a lot of the portraits he did of, the high society females and stuff. Their dresses, you could tell, he didn't spend a lot of time like rendering the silk and stuff like that, but just the way that his brush work, his brush technique, you know what kind of fabric the clothing was made out of, even though he didn't go in as detailed as, say, a Norman Rockwell and flesh out every detail. So I guess you have to decide how far you want to go and what's going to be enough that the viewer gets an idea of what you're trying to illustrate. Because sometimes you won't have time, to spend a lot of time on your character's, background, or say they're sitting at a desk or in an office. Like sometimes you won't have time to do a really detailed drawing of the office with all the little decorations that might be in like books and tape and all the different things that people would have, little statues in their offices. Might not have time. You might just be able to give an impression of an office. Now, one thing you can do to make it interesting is your camera angle, maybe using some irregular perspective. That can keep it interesting to people, but really, for the most part, a lot of people are. That's probably why pinups are so popular and sell, so well at. Like there's some artists now that like comic book artists that it appears like they make all their money just on commissions, like pinup commissions, because people like the illustration of the figure. Those commissions, if you go on some of the websites like Felix Comic Art or Panel Page Art, and look at some of the artist commissions on there, there's some artists that spend a crazy amount of time, even more time than they do maybe sometimes on the figure, like Daniel Warren Johnson. He spends like his backgrounds are like characters of themselves. He spends a lot of time on his backgrounds, and it shows, and they're super interesting. And then there's some backgrounds that are kind of dull, but there's artists that are like fantastic with their figure drawing, like Travis Charest. If you follow him on Instagram, he doesn't spend a lot of the stuff that he posts doesn't even have backgrounds in it. It's all just figure drawing, figure illustration, character illustration, and like he does in that. That's what people are looking for when they want to see a Travis Charest illustration. Don't care so much about the background. They care about the realistic rendering of figures that are jaw-dropping, and his technique. His technique has evolved over the years if you follow him, but like I said, he doesn't spend any time on the backgrounds. So most of the time, I think when people are checking out a comic book or even a painting like a portrait or whatever. They're not really concerned about what's in the background that much, as long as it's not distracting. And sometimes a detailed background can be distracting when you spend too much time on the background and it drowns out and clouds the image. So you have to decide what's going to work with your whatever you're doing, whether it's a portrait or a comic book illustration or a pinup, like, what's going to work. Now this particular illustration I'm working on, I've said, is going to end up like 2.5 by 3.5. It's going to end up very small, the size of a baseball card. So a lot of these details that I'm putting in are probably not going to be seen. I'm working kind of big. The last couple cards that I did so far I've done these zombie cards. They have a zombie theme to them, related to the afterlife, and I didn't work as big. So I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to translate when I do shrink it down. If I just went overboard on some of the detail unnecessarily, but you know what? In the end, I have fun doing it. Maybe it takes me a little longer, but I enjoy the details. And there's artist work that I love that a lot of detail is left out and it's effective. And I wish I could be that way sometimes. But I just can't. I get carried away. Yeah, I recently just picked up I picked up that David Finch, Robert Kirkman Skin Breakers issue, and then I think I bought like 6 comics, and a couple of them were on discount, and I'm looking up right now. A couple of them were on discount. So I bought 6 comic books. 3 of them were discounted. And it came to something like $30. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for... now 2 of them were the Daredevil A Cold Day in Hell, number 2 and 3, that Steve Niven had illustrated, and I picked the first issue up when I was on vacation, and I really liked the story, so I decided to pick the other 2 up. And the artwork is a departure for Steve McNiven from some of the other stuff that he's done, but you could see that he's kind of heading in the direction that he is. It's real. No, it's all just like he could have drawn it all with a rapidograph pen. Like a rapidograph pen is a pen that leaves the same line weight. They can be expensive, so you have to buy them in different line thicknesses. Like I think we used to use those in. I think I used them in college, and they use them in drafting. Probably not so much as anymore because everything's done on the computer. But they lay down an exact, like this brush I'm using right now is a extra small Faber-Castell. I can get some line weight variety out of it by how much I press on the. I think it's got a I think they still make, it's a felt tip. How much I press on the pen, my line weight can be varied, but with a Rapidograph pen, pressure doesn't matter. No matter how hard you press, the line weight is pretty much the same. So you get a nice, clean, consistent line, especially if you're trying to draw something technical. I think there's other companies other than Rapidograph that make them. I have a couple. Like there are pens that, like the Rapidographs, usually it's like almost like a calligraphy pen, like where you have these ink cartridges that go in it. And I can't remember the name of the other. It might have been Rotring might make some too. But like that, what I was getting at in the Cold Day in Hell Daredevil issues there, it almost looks like Steve McNiven is using like a Rapidograph because he's using just real sketchy lines. And it works for the story. I just started reading issue 2 and it's starting to get more interesting. But I'm a big Daredevil fan. I've always liked Daredevil. Going back to when Lee Weeks, Johnny Romita Jr., when he was drawing Daredevil, man, I love those issues. I think I have almost all of them. I have most of the Lee Weeks issues. And then Joe Quesada, I mean, he's also one of the quintessential Daredevil artists. They all had their own style. But with Johnny Romita, I think him on Daredevil and him on Spider-Man just work. I mean, he actually did a Cable series. I don't know how many issues he did. That was really well done. His artwork really worked with the characters in that, like Cable, and can't remember much about the storyline. There are characters that his artwork, he's got his own unique style. When you see Johnny Romita Jr.'s drawings, there's no mistake who drew them. His style is so unique. Okay, I started to ink in this hand here, and then I realized I really hate it. It doesn't look right, especially the first finger here. It's way too long, and it's kind of distorted. Wouldn't come back at that angle. I was able to kind of fix these fingers a little bit. I'm still gonna go in with some heavier line here, but I'm gonna take and white out that finger because I just does not look right. The other fingers are passable, but well, they're passable for me, I guess. I don't know about you, but like I said, it's just this finger is not right. So I'm gonna go in with my Posca paint marker here, and I'm probably gonna have to do a couple passes. I rarely get this good coverage the first time with this. I'm actually drawing on let's see, it's Bristol Strathmore smooth line, like smooth paper, 200 series Bristol. This paper should handle this Posca marker a little better. I don't know, it's starting to distort a little bit, starting to distort the paper, so I am going to work on these other fingers until that dries, and I'll go in and try to fix that finger there. I also want to fix this knuckle a little bit here. Maybe I just don't have enough. The end of this paint marker is getting real smushed out. Just want to cover that knuckle up a little bit too. I didn't quite like that. So I'm just going to work these other fingers here, try to get a little bit more definition on them, and then once this dries, I'll come back and deal with the first finger there. add a little shadow to the wrist here too. All right. So here we go. There was one more passage in Scripture that I wanted to read that had a famous, not famous, but well-known demonic character. So Jesus was traveling, and when Jesus had stepped out of the boat, immediately there met. This is from Mark, chapter 5, almost at the beginning. And when Jesus had stepped out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. He lived among the tombs, and no one could bind him any more, not even with a chain, for he had often been bound with shackles and chains, but he wrenched the chains apart, and he broke the shackles into pieces. No one had the strength to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and on the mountains, he was always crying out and cutting himself with stones. And when he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and fell down before him, and crying out with a loud voice, he said, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure you, by God, do not torment me." For he was saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." And Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" He replied, "My name is Legion, for we are many." And he begged him earnestly not to send them out of the country. Now a great herd of pigs was feeding there on the hillside, and they begged him, saying, "Send us to the pigs, let us enter them." So he gave them permission, and the unclean spirits came out and entered the pigs, and the herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down the steep bank into the sea and drowned in the sea. So in this story, you have these demonic spirits, maybe by the thousands, that had possessed this man who had been living amongst the tombs. He couldn't be shackled. He broke his chains. So somehow he was given this inordinate amount of strength through this possession. And when Jesus asked what his name was, his name was Legion. And Legion has been used, that story, not necessarily that character, but the name has been used, I don't know how many times in popular culture or in movies and in comics and stuff like that. But here you have an example of a demonic, multiple demonic spirits are able to possess one human being and torment them. And here this man is living amongst the tombs. He's living abnormally on the outskirts of society, an outcast, probably away from his family if he had any. He'd been, it had driven him out from his friends, family. So possession like that is nothing to be trifled with, and it's not a joke. It can be portrayed that way or made light of in television and movies and stuff like that, but you really don't want to open yourself up to this kind of stuff by dabbling in it. But it's an example of, there seem to be a variety of different angelic creatures, and demons are angelic creatures. These particular creatures hadn't taken any form, and somehow they were able to be possess this man by the thousands. I don't understand how that all works, but so this particular demonic creature or creatures were more ethereal, and they were able to have an effect on the physical world through him by giving him this superhuman kind of strength. But even though his physical body was given strength, his mind was affected severely and negatively, so that he wasn't able to participate in regular society. Now, like in a situation like this, where you have a demon that's that's speaking to a psychic and giving her some kind of transmissions, like messages to communicate to her client or whoever she's working for, whoever her patron is or a customer. This obviously you wouldn't be able. Nobody can see the demon over the shoulder of the psychic, and the psychic probably doesn't. Most likely doesn't think they're speaking to a demon. They think they're speaking to some family member. But for the purpose of this illustration, I'm illustrating both like the natural world and the supernatural realm. Now, it's quite possible the demon could be inhabiting her just like the legions were inhabiting the man in the story. You can see how I fixed that finger there. Kind of brought it in tighter to the second finger. I changed the second finger a little bit more. I just didn't like the angle, and that first finger was just way too elongated. So I'm more happy with the finger now. I wanted to keep his hands kind of more like, just kind of real weathered, ugly, more gnarly. There's not a lot of, actually his whole outfit in particular is fairly simple. Now, if you're illustrating something like this, or some kind of creature that there's not really seems to be a variety in how they may look or appear. Man, there's not really any way you can go wrong with, very little ways you can go wrong with what your particular choices are in your character design. Because who's going to be able to say, oh, that's not right? Well, show me. Where is it not right? Give me a reference to go by. So I guess before the video, I'm getting towards the end here, before the video runs out, I just want to mention my website, www.inkwarfare.com. I have just information about my artwork. Some of my artwork's for sale on there. I have t-shirts, stickers, trading cards. This artwork will be for sale there eventually once I finish the trading card that I'm illustrating it for will be for sale on there. I sell those in packs of 100. So if you like this video, want to support me, you can buy a t-shirt, buy a sticker. It's up to you, but yeah, inkwarfare.com, and I'm also on Instagram at ink.warfare. I do entertain, the idea of doing commissions for people, but I can be kind of selective about that. But if there's something you can contact me through my website if there's something you had in mind and want to run it by me. Right now, I've really kind of come to a point where I'm just illustrating what I want to illustrate, and sometimes when you're doing commission work and stuff, and people have something conceptual, it can be a lot more work than what you're getting paid for. So, but anyhow, I mean, if you do, I would entertain the idea, depending on the project or what you had in mind. If you can contact me through my website at inkwarfare.com. So the rest of this illustration I'll be inking in a later video. So the psychic, I'll be finishing her up, and the background. That'll probably be in my next video after I get this one posted. If you have any questions about this particular illustration, feel free you can message me through my website or leave a question in the comments, I do pay attention to those, though I rarely get any. And you know, if you like this video and you made it this far, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button and maybe even subscribe, so when I do put out more content, you'll be notified about it. I'd appreciate that. Like, sometimes, you know, you have several people watch your video and you only get a few likes. Does that mean that only those few people liked it? I'm not sure. I've started to be better about liking videos since I created this this channel, because I'm just as bad as the next guy. I'll watch, and it all depends too. Like, I watch a lot of YouTube on TV, so like I'll watch it on TV, and it's not as easy as on your tablet to select the like button. You have to make more effort to do that. So if you're watching it on your phone or a tablet like an iPad, it is easier to select the like button, so I understand that. But yeah, since I started this channel, I have been more conscious about selecting the like button on videos that I do like, and I can see why people don't. So anyhow, like, if you like this video, appreciate it if you selected the like button. I haven't gotten any dislikes yet, so I guess that's a good thing. So I'm coming down to the end of it here, and just kind of evaluating things that are missing, any little details I can add before I close it out. I just kind of wanted to bring his head out a little bit more here, so I'm adding some shadow, a little bit of thickening up the line around his forehead here to kind of differentiate it from the wing. I mean, that's one thing you can do in an ink illustration. You know, there's no rules about how heavy your outline can be. It all depends on your style. Some artists get away with a really heavy outline around the outside and it looks good. And some choose not to. We're getting down to the end of the video here, and I've said some things of a spiritual nature in this video. And I just recommend to you, just don't believe what I say. Go check it out for yourself. You should always check things out for yourself and your pursuit of truth. But that being said, I'll see you in part 2 of this series sometime in the near future. And thanks for watching.